Joseph Campbell, in Power of Myth, gives us a variety of motifs and images that are important to our understanding of myth. We'll talk about some of them in this presentation. The earth or land as woman is a common theme and tends to be the rule in many mythologies. That the world emerges from this sacred space and that sometimes people emerge from the sacred mountain is not an uncommon origin myth in Native American societies. Another very common theme is fratricide, where one brother is pitted against the other. So Cain and Abel, Romulus and Remus, and their struggles are those of hunting or herding and cultivating the earth. One of the brothers or one way of life is chosen, and one is not as accepted. This gives us the duality of life, male, female, good, evil, flesh, spirit or soul, death, and life. All are two aspects of the same thing. Other themes are of the hero identifying themselves with the one they are saving. Often life is metaphorical to a labyrinth, where the way must be discovered by walking through life, or it is a wheel of fortune, where your luck is either predetermined or not. Campbell notes the notion of the character of the child coming from the father and the body and mind as inherited from the mother. This goes back to some stories and myths discussing the sins of the father and the very common hero's journey of the father quest, such as Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. When it comes to the goddess, the Mother Earth, which is an agricultural theme according to Campbell, as the earth gives birth, you plant a seed and out comes a living plant or animal. So the magic of life coming from the earth is the same as the magic of life emerging from the woman. The personification of life-giving energy tends to be female in many, many myths. Often, when writing fiction or fantasy novels, you'll find this theme carries through, such as the image of Edda and El as goddess of land and the god of water or air in The Assassin's Apprentice. In Robin Hobb's books, the females were the only ones who could inherit land for that very reason. In Game of Thrones, you've got the drowned god of the Iron Isles, a violent and very male god. So art imitates these motifs and themes from our own myths, which carry through many other myths, but those that are believed today, as well as those that we create as works of art. The death and dismemberment of the dying god gives itself to the universe and to all of creation is another common theme that is a rich motif of myth. An example of this is the Chinese god Pangu, which died and gave form and life to the earth. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, nowhere is said to have been created from a dying titan or god. Our stories also determine whether you belong to a group or not. Love and compassion in our story are reserved for those in the group, whereas aggression is for those others over there. Campbell then goes on to say that today there is no outgroup on the planet, where compassion must be made to work for all, citing this as the problem of modern religions. He's somewhat prescient here and ahead of his time. But aggression is more readily given than compassion, and the subjugation of the female is a result of biblical thinking, according to Campbell. Regarding the ebb and flow and rise and fall of mythic dominance over time, the male and female struggle. Campbell asserts a cyclical rise of one over the other in time. First is the goddess, supplanted by the male, then back again over time. And at times when the two are in interaction together simultaneously, as in Indian myths. The motif of the virgin birth is that the spiritual person is born out of the animal person through shared suffering or compassion. So the virgin birth is how all heroes and demigods are born or reborn out of a learning or compassion, and not a form of chastity. It is a second birth out of the heart chakra, and not the original birth at all. Perhaps based on this, the bris or the bat mitzvah or the baptism is this virgin birth, depending on your faith and your traditions. Agricultural societies have life out of death motifs, while duality is represented in the yin and yang, where the white dot exists in the black fish and the black dot is present in the white one. This allows for a relationship and potential for compassion of one for the other. And through all of this, there is the teacher who provides guidance and clues to the spiritual. Originally, this was the priest or shaman enacting the myths through the rituals. It's through participating in these rituals that one is able to be reborn of spirit and learns to live spiritually. That's a good number of miscellaneous points, but there are a lot more in Power of Myth. I will cover some more in one more presentation later. However, the next 4 presentations will focus on mythic conflict, how myths can be used to create conflict, or how they can be used during the conflict to manipulate others.